300 horsepower, no headlights, no license plate brackets, and absolutely no legal way to ride them on public streets. These aren't just fast motorcycles. They're engineering masterpieces that governments worldwide have deemed too dangerous for public roads. I'm talking about bikes where 200 miles per hour is just the warm-up, where insurance companies refuse to even quote you, where one mistake doesn't end in a crash, it ends in a crater. Today, we're counting down the top 11 motorcycle speed demons you cannot legally ride on public roads. And number 1, it'll shock you. It might even be on a road near you right now. Let's get into it. Number 11, BMW HP4 Race. Starting at number 11, we have BMW's ultimate track weapon, the HP4 Race. This bike screams competition only before you even start it up. The entire frame is carbon fiber, not the bodywork, the frame. BMW literally baked the chassis in an autoclave like a Formula 1 monocoque. The complete bike weighs just 377 pounds without fuel. That's lighter than most riders. Powering this beast is a 999 cubic centimeter inline 4 delivering 215 horsepower. Now, 215 might not sound insane compared to what's coming, but remember, this bike weighs nothing. The power to weight ratio is absolutely mental. 0 to 60 under 3 seconds. Top speed? BMW won't say officially, but race telemetry shows over 190 miles per hour. And here's the kicker, even if you have $78,000 lying around, you're signing a waiver that this bike will never touch public pavement. It's stamped competition use only on the title. No headlights, no turn signals, no mirrors, nothing required for street legality. BMW won't even let dealers discuss street use. This is purebred racing machinery, and that's where it stays. Number 10. Aprilia RSV4 XGP. At number 10, Italy's track assassin, the Aprilia RSV4 XGP. And Aprilia held nothing back. This is basically Aprilia's factory superbike racer with a serial number, a 1,099 cubic centimeter V4 screaming out 238 horsepower through a full Akrapovic racing exhaust that violates noise laws in every country on Earth. We're talking 110 to 115 decibels at full song. For reference, a jet engine at takeoff is 120 decibels. Standing next to this bike at redline will damage your hearing permanently. But the power is only part of the story. These aerodynamic wings generate over 60 pounds of downforce at 180 miles per hour. Why? Because without them, this bike would wheelie in 4th gear. The front tire would literally leave the ground at highway speeds. The electronics package is next level. 6-axis IMU, cornering ABS, 8-level traction control. This bike has more computing power than the space shuttle used to reach orbit. Aprilia built exactly 30 of these at 90,000 euros each, roughly $98,000. Every single one sold out immediately, and every single one is completely illegal for street use. No headlight homologation, no turn signal provisions, and that exhaust fails emissions testing by margins so wide, it's almost impressive. Why is it banned? Take your pick. No lighting equipment meets DOT standards. Exhaust exceeds noise limits by 30 plus decibels. Aerodynamic devices aren't approved for road use, and it requires race spec tires that need warmers to function safely. This is MotoGP machinery wearing the thinnest possible street disguise. Number 9. Ducati Superleggera V4. Number 9 brings us Italian exotica at its finest, the Ducati Superleggera V4. And when Ducati says super light, they mean it. This motorcycle is 90% carbon fiber. The frame, the wheels, the subframe, the fairings. If it can be carbon, it is carbon. Dry weight, just 335 pounds. A Honda Grom weighs more than this superbike. The heart is a 998 cubic centimeter Desmosedici Stradale 5.4, making 224 horsepower in stock trim. But here's where it gets interesting. Ducati includes a full racing kit, new ECU, race exhaust, different camshafts. Install those parts, and you're looking at 234 horsepower. Do the math. 234 horsepower divided by 335 pounds equals 0.70 horsepower per pound. That's nearly double the power-to-weight ratio of a Porsche 911 GT3. The brakes are engineering art. Brembo-style Ma-R radial calipers biting 330mm carbon ceramic rotors, the same spec used in MotoGP. These can haul this bike down from 180 miles per hour like it hit an invisible wall. Now here's where the lawyers get clever. Ducati built 500 at $100,000 each. Technically, this bike is street legal as sold, but nobody, and I mean nobody, rides a Superleggera in street trim. Everyone installs that racing kit immediately, and the moment you bolt on the race exhaust and flash the racing ECU, your bike no longer meets emissions or noise regulations. Ducati sells you a street legal bike with a track-only kit. But in reality, this bike lives in a legal gray area, and once you install that racing kit, European police are actively confiscating modified Superleggeras. The UK has issued specific warnings. Australia classifies the race kit as prohibited modifications. Own one? You better keep receipts proving the race parts are still in their boxes. Number 8. Norton V4 RR. At number 8, British engineering at its most extreme. The Norton V4 RR. One of the oldest motorcycle brands decided to build something absolutely mental for their comeback. This bike uses a 1,200 cubic centimeter V4 engine producing 200 horsepower. But here's what makes it special. The engine is the frame. There's no traditional chassis. The engine is a fully stressed member holding everything together, just like a MotoGP bike. Look at this construction: titanium connecting rods, billet aluminum engine cases, magnesium cam covers. This power plant cost more to develop than some manufacturers' entire annual R&D budgets. The front frame section is a carbon fiber monocoque, one piece, autoclave cured, stronger than steel, lighter than aluminum. Norton used aerospace suppliers, the same companies making parts for Airbus commercial jets. Suspension is fully adjustable Öhlins NIX 30 electronic racing units front and rear. Brakes, Brembo GP4 calipers, literally the same units on factory MTT bikes. This motorcycle has over $15,000 in suspension and braking hardware alone. Norton planned to build 200 of these at roughly $55,000 each. Due to financial troubles, they built fewer than 200 before restructuring. Those limited bikes? They're now collector's items worth considerably more than original retail. But here's why it's on our list. Norton never even attempted street homologation. It ships with track use only, prominently displayed everywhere. No provision for lighting, no noise compliance testing, requires racing fuel for optimal performance. This was designed from day one to win races, period. Number 7. Kawasaki Ninja H2R. Number 7 is the bike that made every other manufacturer realize they'd been playing it safe. The Kawasaki Ninja H2R, a legend that rewrote the rules. First, let's talk about that supercharger. This isn't a turbo waiting for exhaust gases. It's a belt-driven centrifugal supercharger spinning at 130,000 RPM. That's more than twice the redline of a Formula One engine. The whine it makes is absolutely intoxicating. Listen to that sound. That's not a motorcycle. That's a mechanical banshee. The supercharger whine layered over inline-4 scream creates something that sounds genuinely alien. 998 cubic centimeters, inline-4 engine, supercharged. And here's the current spec: up to 322 horsepower depending on model year and tuning. The bike weighs 476 pounds wet. That's a power-to-weight ratio of 1.48 horsepower per pound. To put that in perspective, a Bugatti Chiron, a $3 million hypercar, has 0.47 horsepower per pound. The H2R has more than 3 times the power-to-weight ratio of one of the fastest cars ever built. Now look at these carbon fiber wings. At 200 plus miles per hour, this bike generates lift. Yes, lift, like an aircraft. Without these wings creating 65 pounds of downforce, the front wheel would literally come off the ground at high speed. You'd go from superbike to lawn dart in seconds. The tires are custom Bridgestone 502 racing slicks. You cannot buy these commercially, only through Kawasaki for H2R owners. Why? Because normal tires can't handle the heat generated at 200 plus miles per hour. These use compounds designed to work when they're on the edge of melting. Top speed? Officially over 250 miles per hour, Kawasaki claims 249, but independent testing has confirmed 251 to 252 miles per hour. That's where the test rider said, "I'm done." Professional racer, someone who crashes motorcycles for a living, looked at 250 plus miles per hour and chose life. This bike comes from the factory with track use only, stamped on everything except the tires. No headlights, no mirrors, no turn signals, no license plate bracket. Kawasaki didn't even try for street legality. In the US, riding this on public roads results in immediate impound, bike confiscation, and reckless endangerment charges. Germany, prison time possible. Japan, where it's manufactured, permanent license revocation. Governments had to create new penalty categories specifically for this machine. Price, $57,500 in 2025. And Kawasaki still builds them to order. You want one? They'll make it. But you'll sign documents acknowledging this will never ever see a public road. And honestly, that might save your life. Number 6. MTT Y2K Turbine Superbike. Forget horsepower for a second. Let's talk about thrust. Because at number 6, we have something that shouldn't exist. The MTT Y2K Turbine Superbike. And yes, that's an actual helicopter engine. Not inspired by a helicopter engine. An actual Rolls-Royce Allison 250C18 gas turbine, the same engine in MD-500 helicopters, the same power plant in military reconnaissance drones. That engine on a motorcycle. The classic Y2K puts out 320 horsepower, but here's where your brain short circuits. 425 pound-feet of torque from idle, not building through a rev range, just sitting there at idle, all 425 pound-feet ready to separate your shoulders from their sockets. For perspective, a Harley-Davidson Fat Boy makes 110 pound-feet. A Ducati Panigale V4 makes about 90. This has nearly 5 times the torque of motorcycles specifically designed for torque. It's not even in the same category, 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds. But that number is meaningless because there are no gear changes, no power band to manage. You twist the throttle, physics bends, and the horizon rushes at you like the universe is collapsing inward. Now look at this exhaust outlet. It doesn't just get hot, it glows. Bright orange like metal fresh from a blacksmith's forge. Temperature, over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to melt aluminum, hot enough to ignite asphalt on contact. Those heat shields protecting the tail section, same ceramic material as the space shuttle's thermal protection system. Not similar, identical. Because nothing else can handle sustained 1,000 plus degree temperatures. This bike requires NASA-grade heat protection just to prevent self-immolation. See these fuel system components? Gold-plated, not for aesthetics. Jet fuel is highly corrosive, and gold is one of the few metals that won't corrode. The fuel pump is from an F-16 Fighting Falcon. The ignition system is from an Apache attack helicopter. This isn't a motorcycle. It's a military parts catalog with handlebars. Cost for early models, around $185,000. But here's the reality. Only 5 to 10 were ever built across all variants. Each one sits in a climate-controlled collection, never to see daylight on public roads. Because what law do you even break on this thing? Noise ordinance, emissions, operating an aircraft without proper licensing, all of the above? Claimed top speed is 227 miles per hour, but the builder, Ted McIntyre, says it'll do 250, maybe more. Nobody knows for certain because nobody's been crazy enough to find out. When the guy who built the death machine won't push it to its limits, that tells you everything you need to know. Number 5. Dodge Tomahawk. Number 5 is the legend, the myth, the concept that automotive journalists still debate 2 decades later. The Dodge Tomahawk. Dodge engineers asked a question that haunts the industry. What if we took a Viper V10 engine, 8.3 liters, 500 horsepower, 525 pound-feet of torque, and strapped it to 2 wheels? Actually, they chickened out at the last second and used 4 wheels. 2 up front in close formation, 2 in back, each independently suspended, because apparently revolutionizing motorcycles required literally reinventing the wheel. 500 horsepower. The engine alone weighs 500 pounds. For reference, an entire Honda CBR 600RR sport bike, complete motorcycle, weighs 410 pounds. The engine on the Tomahawk weighs more than an entire middleweight supersport. Dodge claimed a top speed of 420 miles per hour. Let's be absolutely clear. That number was pure marketing fantasy. A theoretical calculation that ignored real-world physics like aerodynamic drag, tire integrity, and basic thermodynamics. It was never tested and could never be verified. But the fact that they even published that number tells you everything about this bike's philosophy. Physics is merely a suggestion. The frame is carved from a single billet of aluminum. No welds, no weak points. Because at theoretical high speeds, a weld failure isn't a mechanical issue. It's a coffin. Each wheel has fully independent suspension because, at extreme speeds, conventional linked suspension would literally tear itself apart from the forces involved. We're talking tons of force measured at the mounting points. When they unveiled this at the 2003 Detroit Auto Show, it broke the automotive internet. Journalists lost their minds, enthusiasts went insane, and governments immediately said, absolutely not, never, not happening. This bike cannot be registered anywhere. Not the United States, not Europe, not even in Middle Eastern countries with more relaxed vehicle laws. It exists in legal limbo, too extreme to title, too expensive to forget, too iconic to destroy. Price? $555,000, more than a Lamborghini Aventador. And Dodge built exactly 10. Where are they now? Museums, private collections, climate-controlled garages where they'll never start, forever frozen as rolling sculpture. Because the moment you try to fire this thing up on a public road, you're not just breaking traffic laws, you're breaking noise ordinances. You're probably violating your homeowners association rules. And you're definitely testing your marriage when your spouse realizes you spent over $500,000 on a suicide machine that can't legally move under its own power. Number 4. Ecosse Titanium Series RR. At number 4, we enter truly exclusive territory. This is the Ecosse Titanium Series RR, and you've probably never heard of it because fewer than 15 exist worldwide. The frame is billet titanium, not titanium tubes welded together. Solid titanium blocks machined on 5-axis CNC mills for hundreds of hours. Do you understand how expensive titanium is? This frame alone costs more than a new BMW 3 Series. Power comes from a supercharged 2,150 cubic centimeter V-twin producing 200 horsepower. Now, 200 might not sound extreme compared to the other machines on this list, but this is a V-twin. All that power manifests as massive, relentless torque delivered in a brutal, unfiltered surge. Every body panel is pre-preg carbon fiber, aerospace-grade material, the same specification used in Formula One monocoques and fighter jet components. Each panel costs $8,000 to replace because they're hand-laid by craftsmen in a clean room environment. Brakes are Brembo GP specification with carbon ceramic rotors. Suspension is Öhlins TTX units, the exact same components used by factory MotoGP racing teams. This motorcycle has over $40,000 in suspension and braking hardware alone. That's more than most people spend on an entire car. Everything is bespoke. The switchgear is machined from solid aluminum with ceramic ball detents. The foot pegs are titanium with ruby pivot bearings. Ruby, as in the gemstone, because apparently steel bearings aren't exclusive enough for a 6-figure motorcycle. Price? Around $300,000. You could buy a Lamborghini Huracan. You could buy 3 BMW M4s. You could make a substantial down payment on a house. Or you could buy this bike. Ecosse builds these to order in Scotland. Each one takes 18 months to complete because every single component is custom manufactured. They're not producing motorcycles. They're crafting mechanical art installations that happen to be functional. Why is it banned? Ecosse never pursued street homologation, ever. It's sold as a design object first, track motorcycle second. No headlights, no turn signals, no mirrors. It doesn't even have mounting provisions for these components because it was never intended for public roads. These bikes live in glass display cases in penthouses and private museums. They appreciate in value like fine art. The last one that changed hands went for over $420,000, 40% more than it cost new. This isn't transportation, it's an investment portfolio that happens to have 2 wheels and an engine. Number 3. Confederate X13. 2. Hellcat Combat. Number 3 is American muscle gone absolutely mental. The Confederate X132. Hellcat Combat, pure unfiltered aggression on 2 wheels. 2 163 cubic centimeters V-twin engine. That's 132 cubic inches, hence the X132 designation. Power, up to 150 horsepower from that massive V-twin, depending on tune. Torque, 150 pound-feet. Now, 150 horsepower might not sound like much compared to the 300 plus horsepower monsters on this list, but you're missing the point of the Hellcat. This isn't about high RPM horsepower. It's about raw, untamed, low-end torque from a massive V-twin that threatens to rip the handlebars from your grip. It's dangerous because of its brutal, unpredictable character, not just its top speed. The entire frame is CNC machined from billet aluminum blocks. Not cast, not welded, machined. Thousands of hours of CNC time creating a single frame. It's mechanical sculpture that happens to be functional. Carbon fiber bodywork, titanium fasteners throughout, magnesium wheels, ceramic bearings. This bike uses materials most manufacturers can't afford even in limited run homologation specials. Everything is hand-assembled in Birmingham, Alabama by craftsmen, not assembly line workers. Each bike takes 300 plus hours to build. That's more time than assembling a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Look at this front end. That's not a conventional telescopic fork. It's a girder-style suspension system. Why? Because Confederate's founder, Matt Chambers, thought conventional forks looked pedestrian, so he redesigned the entire front end from scratch. Form, following function, following article. Price? $65,000 originally. But here's the reality. Confederate existed from 1991 to 2017. The Hellcat Combat was their final model before closing. They built maybe 150 total across all variants. These bikes now trade at $100,000 plus as collectibles. Street legal? Technically yes in the United States, as originally sold. But practically, that V-twin is so loud it violates noise ordinances in most cities. The lack of emissions controls means it can't be registered in California or several other states. And good luck finding insurance. Most companies blacklist Confederate bikes entirely. This bike appeared in movies, music videos, celebrity garages. It's a cultural icon representing American engineering ambition, but it's also completely impractical for actual street use. The riding position is aggressive, the power delivery is brutal, and the maintenance costs are astronomical. These days, most Hellcats live in climate-controlled collections. They're started occasionally, maybe ridden around private property for a few minutes. But public roads? Too risky, too loud, too valuable. They're rolling art installations that happen to be functional motorcycles. Number 2. Vyrus 987 C34V. Take a look at this. It almost looks like it's riding backward. The front and back appear nearly identical. This isn't some custom one-off. This is a production bike from Vyrus, and its alien appearance is the direct result of hub center steering, an engineering choice that makes it incredibly precise but notoriously unforgiving. No conventional fork. The Vyrus uses hub center steering where the front wheel pivots from its center point, not from a telescopic fork. Why? Better geometry consistency, zero dive under hard braking, more precise feedback. It's engineering perfection on paper. Power comes from a Ducati Testastretta engine, 1,198 cubic centimeters, 184 horsepower stock. But Vyrus doesn't just bolt it in, they completely rework it. New camshafts, new pistons, new ECU programming. In supercharged form, it delivers up to 211 horsepower with power delivery that'll compress your spine. Look at this construction. CNC machined aluminum everywhere, titanium connecting rods, carbon fiber bodywork so thin you can see through it in direct sunlight. This bike weighs 330 pounds dry. That's lighter than most 600cc sport bikes. Vyrus is essentially two engineers in Italy who decided conventional motorcycle design was wrong, and they proved it. The hub center steering provides feedback that conventional forks simply cannot match. The frame rigidity is off the charts. The adjustability is essentially infinite. Price? Between 80,000 euros and 120,000 euros, roughly $88,000 to 132,000 US dollars. For a motorcycle. With a Ducati engine you could get for $25,000 in a standard Panigale. But you're not paying for the engine, you're paying for everything around it. Vyrus builds maybe 10 to 15 bikes per year. Total, worldwide. Each one is custom ordered, specified to the owner, and takes months to complete. These aren't mass-produced. They're artisanal machines built in a small workshop. Technically street legal in Europe? Yes, if ordered with the street package. Registered and ridden in real life? Almost never. The riding position is extreme. The power is intimidating. The value is too high to risk. And the maintenance? You need to ship it back to Italy for service. Using one as actual transportation would be like commuting in a Pagani. Technically possible, completely absurd. These bikes exist at exclusive track days and in private collections. Owners trailer them to events, ride for a few laps, then trailer them home. But here's the thing, every engineer who sees a Vyrus respects it deeply. This represents pure engineering ambition unshackled from corporate compromise. It's proof that two people in a workshop can out-engineer multinational corporations. It's beautiful, impractical, brilliant, and completely insane. Number 1. Modified Kawasaki Ninja H2SX underground builds. And here we are. Number 1. And I need to warn you, this isn't some unobtainable $1,000,000 concept bike. It's something far more dangerous, because you might actually see it on the road. In fact, our number 1 spot goes not to a specific model, but to a phenomenon happening right now in underground tuning scenes worldwide. This started life as the Kawasaki Ninja H2 SXSE+, on paper completely street legal everywhere. Around 210 horsepower from a supercharged inline-4, comfortable sport touring ergonomics, full electronics package, headlights, turn signals, mirrors, everything required by law in every jurisdiction. But there's a massive underground scene of H2SX owners modifying these bikes into something way more dangerous than factory track bikes. Why? Because they look deceptively standard. And that's the problem. Step 1. ECU, flash, and remap. The stock computer limits power and enforces emissions compliance. Remove those software limits. Power jumps from 210 to 220 to 260 horsepower at the wheel. Documented in tuning community reports and dyno sheets from shops worldwide. Step 2. Full racing exhaust. Removes catalytic converters, baffles, everything. Adds another 15 to 20 horsepower. And increases sound output to over 120 decibels, way past legal limits everywhere on Earth. Step 3, and this is where it gets truly insane, some owners ADD a turbocharger to the supercharged engine. Yes, you read that correctly, supercharger and turbo, twin-charged. The result? Real-world dyno-proven builds making 250 to 300 plus horsepower at the wheel. Wild twin-charged builds hitting even higher numbers. On a motorcycle that weighs 550 pounds wet. That still has functional headlights and mirrors. That looks like an unassuming sport touring bike from 20 feet away. This is happening worldwide. Japan, Europe, Australia, the United States. Underground tuning shops will perform these modifications for $15,000 to $30,000. They don't advertise publicly. You need to know someone who knows someone. It's a word-of-mouth network of extreme builds. I know what you're thinking. That's not a factory bike. That's cheating. But that's exactly why it's number 1. The Tomahawk is a museum piece that never runs. The H2R is explicitly track-only and can't be registered. But a modified H2SX, it's a 300 horsepower missile hiding in plain sight with a valid license plate, registered and insured as a sport tourer. And that makes it the most dangerous motorcycle on this entire list. Why is this more dangerous than everything else we've covered? Not just because of the power, though 300 plus horsepower is genuinely terrifying. It's dangerous because it's deceptive. The Tomahawk? Obviously insane, sitting in a museum. The H2R? Track-only stamp everywhere, can't register it. The Ecosse? $300,000 and only 15 exist. But a modified H2SX? It looks deceptively standard. It has a license plate. It has headlights and mirrors. Police can't tell just by looking at it that you're riding a time bomb. You could ride past a cop doing 65 miles per hour and they wouldn't know you're on a 300 horsepower weapon. Until you twist the throttle. And by then, you're a mile away doing 180 miles per hour before they even process what happened. This is killing people. Riders who think they can handle the power, who think their track day experience translates to public roads. They're wrong. And they're paying with their lives. Getting caught? In most jurisdictions, immediate impound and criminal charges. Emissions violations, noise violations, illegal modifications to DOT-approved equipment. Some places are crushing these bikes when they're seized, not auctioning them, crushing them to send a message. And insurance? If you crash a modified H2SX and they investigate, and they will investigate, you're looking at insurance fraud charges on top of everything else. Because you didn't disclose modifications that doubled the bike's power output. That's fraud. That's prison time. The motorcycle community is split, live and let ride, versus this hurts us all. Governments are cracking down with dyno checks at renewals in Japan and several European countries implementing similar programs. So that's why the modified H2SX takes our number 1 spot. Not because it's the fastest, though it's certainly up there. Not because it's the most powerful, though 300 plus horsepower is obscene. But because it's accessible, invisible, and deadly. These modified bikes are on roads right now. Legally titled, illegally modified, wolves in sheep's clothing. That's our list of 11 speed demons too extreme for public roads. From the BMW HP4 Race's track-only purity to those deceptively deadly modified H2SX builds claiming the controversial #1 spot. I'm Tech Motor Show, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, ride safe, ride smart, and keep the rubber side down.